All praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Shai, Bashem, Hakadesh, Divine Apostle, Els, Great No Stone, that taught me this 100% truth over will. Citation to the Yakin out there, person, truth, and also serious, when life to do so. Citation to the hopeful, like that, believe in the truth, Yahweh, Bashem, Shai, that scattered among four corners of the earth. Shabbat Shalom. This is Genesis 4:8, what reads, And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou and now art thou cursed from the earth, which which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him shall kill him. Yeah, so for the wickedness that Cain did in slaying his brother Abel, you know, the Lord set a mark upon him, you know what I'm saying, to um marking him uh to as an identifier to who he is, him and his people, you know what I'm saying? And that mark, which you're gonna go to here, was that uh he lost his pigmentation. You know, the Lord wanted him it to be known who he was, you know what I'm saying? He was a murderer. And the Lord cursed him for what he did to Abel. And it was a known mark to let you know who this murderous individual was. And we go here. It says Strong's influence mission. It said so, and the word mark here is oath. So I can let's listen to what it says.
Strong's H 226. Oath, oath.
Oath, uh, in the sense of appearing. See, it's a it's a mark of appearance, so that you will be able to see it. You know, so it's just a thing that you can see physically. So it says probable form in the sense of appearing, a signal, literal or figuratively, as a flag, beacon, monument, omen, prodigy, evidence, mark, miracle, sign, token. So he you can identify him because you know it's you can see in his appearance in him with it's like an appearing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a thing that is distinguishing him from others. When we read his sign, signal, a distinct, a dis, a distinguish, it's like a distinguishing mark, banner, remembrance, miraculous sign, omen, warning, token, ensigns, standard, miracle, proof. So there was proof to show you that he was the murderer, that that distinguishing mark from everyone else. was, you know, um, warning you this is the murderer. You know what I'm saying? So when you seen him, it was known like, oh, this is the murderer. You know what I'm saying? This is the dude that murdered his brother. He has a distinct look, appearance. You know what I'm saying? It was, as you said, the word appearance. So his mark is a physical mark of appearance. You know, so the Lord let it be known, like you are the man that murdered his brother. You know, you're the murderous individual. So he was cursed with that mark, with that oath, so to all the known and for all to see. So he could be recognized. Stay away from this murderous individual. You know what I'm saying? He's the man that's been cursed by the Lord. This is proof that he's that murderer. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord distinguished him from everybody else because everybody else had pigmentation. So the Lord made it be known, like, all right, you a wicked individual, you a murderer. And so I'm gonna let the world know who you are. So when they see you, they're gonna know this is that murderous individual. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, um, this is a different mark from, the mark of the beast. Because, IOIC, they tell you that, the mark is spiritual and it's something that, a religious thing, you know what I'm saying, that you um uh it's about, worshiping Christianity, you know what I'm saying? And they got to think about, following precepts. But, through the precepts we do get understanding, but the Lord also tell you to pay attention for, the signs of the time. You know what I'm saying? And we know that the RFID microchip is here, and it's a sign of the times that, we're in, that we're close to the end, you know. So sometimes you got to pay attention to what's going, you know, the signs that are taking place that the Lord has given unto you for those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because if you thinking that the mark of the beast is a spiritual thing and it's about, who you worship or what religion that you follow, you know, you're mistaken. You know what I'm saying? And that's poor leadership. That's providing you with bad information. You know what I'm saying? These are not true men of the Lord that'll give you fair warning and blowing the trumpet as they're supposed to warn you not to take that mark. You know what I'm saying? You know, they've been uh the ministry has been tainted, because more than likely they've been bribed and they took the bag, you know what I'm saying? And they're doing things for filthy lucre's sake. They're not doing things in the sake of the Lord to protect the sheep and give them fair warning of the judgment that the Lord's going to bring unto those that ended up taking his mark. Because they're telling you something spiritual. It's about, you know, worship, that they, you know, the type of uh religious religious following, you know what I'm saying? And they're not warning you that it's something that, is a physical thing. They're misleading you, and they're gonna uh you know lead you to destruction. You know what I'm saying? But and which is going to do on their hands as well. But this mark that was given unto Cain, this was a mark of appearance to distinguish him from everybody else, which he ended up losing his pigmentation. So the Lord, this is an identifying mark that the Lord set upon Cain. So the mark here is a different mark from you know the mark in uh Revelations. But you know they try to go in and when they see the word mark, that it's all the same thing, but it's not. As you saw there, Mark in Genesis dealing with Cain is oath. You know what I'm saying? Which is a mark of appearance. You know, uh, in the way that something looked, and which is the way of Cain's appearance was his lack of pigmentation, which continued through Esau Edom. You know what I'm saying? Because, those that could understand reincarnation, you know, Cain is reincarnated through Esau, and he is he carries on that curse of, you know, um, having that physical mark, that physical appearance, showing proof that he's that murderous devil. You know what I'm saying? Um, for those that, understand uh reincarnation, you know what I'm saying? Um, Esau Edom. And the name Esau itself means wasted away is he. Because why? Because he has no pigmentation. You can see his blood, through his flesh. And that's why they say he came out red, like a hairy garment. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he had no pigmentation, which is an identifier of who he is on the planet. He's, um, that murderous man, he's the devil in the flesh. He's the wicked of the earth. That wickedness, that wicked bloodline continued on from Cain, continued on through Esau Edom. That identifying mark that the Lord gave it to Cain is it identified with Esau Edom, showing you that, he carries on that wickedness. We know, and this is Ezekiel 9:4, which reads, "And the Lord said unto him, Go forth in the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof." And we know here the mark here is different than what we read in dealing with Cain. And this is Tawah, Tawah in Hebrew,
Strong's H 8420. Tav. Tav.
but in the Hebrew it's pronounced Tawah. And this is a mark by implication, a signature desire mark. It says biblical desire mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. So this is a different mark here. You know, this is a more of a spiritual mark. You're marked from exempt because for those that um that believe in the 100% truth of Yahweh Shema Shai, they're going to receive that spiritual mark because the Lord has opened up your understanding for you to understand His mysteries, and you're going to understand all the um information that the prophets of the Lord bring out to you. You're going to take heed to the warning because you're going to hear the voice of the Lord because the Lord speaks through men. You know, He reveals His secrets into His service, the prophets. And if you're of the elect, you know, you're going to receive that prophet's reward. You know, if you follow and take heed to His warning from the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what the Lord is speaking through. So this mark here is the work is the mark of the Wah, which means you're going to be exempt from judgment in the coming of the day of judgment from the Lord. So Ezekiel 9:4 again. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, which is the nation of Israel in these times now. But Jerusalem is a people as well as a place, you know. So wherever the nation of Israel is, that's who, we're also Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So, because we're the people as well as the place. So for those that, are scattered among the four corners of the earth, are able to receive this mark of the Wah, that's what's going to be. That's what's going to be. So the Lord is going throughout the four corners of the earth, awakening his flock. And those that are awakened into this 100% truth and bear to the end, they're going to receive this this mark, which is the mark of the Wah, to be exempt from judgment. And set a mark upon their foreheads, which is, in their mind, so they can understand the truth. And the men that sigh and cry for all their abominations be done unto them in the midst thereof. And that's the men that are out on these highways and byways, crying out to the Lord to bring judgment upon these heathens for what they've done to the nation of Israel, and to give a fair warning. We cry about the abominations that have been done to us by this devil, Esau Edom, beginning with Esau Edom, so-called white men, and the rest of these heathens. We're calling for the Lord to bring judgment and to rescue us from our enemies. We're knowing and go to the and 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 to go, it's like it, Ezekiel 95, and to the others he said, in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite, let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house, and the Lord is bringing judgment, starting at his sanctuary, which is means starting with his people, with the nation of Israel. For those that don't take heed to the warning of Yahweh Shema Shai, you're going to receive judgment. So those that don't believe that the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip and they end up taking it, you're going to receive judgment for it. Because, yeah, I know they say, oh, it's religious or whatever and it's sin, but taking a mark is a sin because you're going against the commandment that the Lord gave to not take that or not worship the image of the beast. The Lord commands you not to do so. So, and you're doing so, you're worshiping the image and you're going against your power. You know what I'm saying? You trust more in this devil and his system than you trust in the Lord. And for that, the Lord says, all right, sort of my sanctuary and bring judgment. You know what I'm saying? So, even though the mark of the beast itself is not a spiritual thing, um, worshiping plantation Christianity in itself, but it is a sin to take it because you're going against the Lord. And what's sin? Sin is the wages of death. You know what I'm saying? So for that wage of sin of you know taking his mark, you're going to receive judgment by the Lord. But slay, like we just read, I'll read it again. Ezekiel 9:6. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, and but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men, which were both, it's like it which were before the house. Yeah, so the Lord ain't sparing none, especially of his own people. He says, let's say the old and the young, men and women. You know what I'm saying? Both men and women, old, young, and children. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, anyone that goes against the Lord, you know, is going to receive uh judgment. You know what I'm saying? The Lord ain't even sparing, you know, um, the young and the old of his own people. You know what I'm saying? So, not, nevertheless, the heathen, you know what I'm saying? They're going to receive judgment as well. But if the Lord's going to give judgment into his own people, what makes you believe that, these heathen nations not going to receive judgment as well, which they are, you know what I'm saying? Read knowing, and he said unto them, defile, defile the house to fill the courts with the slain, go ye forth, and they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass while they were slaying them, and I was left, that I fell upon my face and cried and said, Lord power, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel, and thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great. It's like it is exceedingly great, and the land is full of blood, and the city is full of perverseness. For they say, the Lord hath forsaken the earth, and the Lord seeth not. Yeah, so the Lord going to bring judgment upon both houses, the house of Judah and the house of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom. And as for me, or as for me also, My eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. And that's, the judgment of the Lord that's going to come upon this Israel as he done before, because the things that are written aforetime are written for our learning, so we know how the Lord operates. So the Lord, even before time, when our people went off, he brought judgment upon them, which is no different what he's going to do in the end for those that receive this mark, this current market, which is the mark of the beast or the microchip. You know what I'm saying? This is Revelations 13:16, which reads, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast and the number of his name. Yeah. And this devil, you saw Edom, this is his mark, this physical mark, because he's carnal. You know what I'm saying? His blessing is carnality, you know. So like, his physical blessing also with the sword, you know what I'm saying? The Lord gave him that so he could gain his rulership. He gave him, military might because and brought him up to be the strength in the earth in these last days, and to be a whipping stick for the nation of Israel. The Lord, he, as we read in what's called it, the devil, he's a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. He has no place. He takes shit. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he's a vagabond. You know what I'm saying? He has no place of rest. So he just takes shit as his own. You know what I'm saying? And he's a fugitive. He's on the run from the Lord. And he's going to receive his judgment in the day of the Lord coming. You know what I'm saying? So he's a fugitive on the run, but soon, you know, the Lord is going to come round up the fugitive. You know what I'm saying? But let's go into the mark here, and this mark is
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
the mark here is charagma. It says charagma, a scratch or itching stamp as a badge of serv- servitude or sculptured figure, graven mark. Yeah, this is a different mark in itself. This is a physical mark um of something that's physical that they're going to implant into you, which is the RFID microchip. It's scratch, itching, you know, them cutting into your flesh. It says a stamp and an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist. And we all know there are many Antichrists. Esau Edom is one because he's against the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai. He brought into you plantation Christianity. He told you were Africans. You know what I'm saying? He gave you into you a new image of the Lord and he changed the name. You know what I'm saying? Which is, all that's blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, you know. And and he brought also, this physical mark, this RFID microchip, which is his image that many of the world, what I'm saying, is going to turn to for survival in these last days. You know what I'm saying? So as you know, the RFID microchip is a sign for those that can have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, is that we're at the end, and this is, the end of this devil's rulership. Once this mark comes on the scene and he implements it into society, you know what I'm saying? That's the end of his rulership. That's the beginning, pretty much of the end for this devil. You know what I'm saying? You know, the game's been fixed for him to lose and Israel to win. We're doing thin carved sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. So Karadma is uh, a stamped and printed. Um, this is something that you know he he's going to physically put inside you. You know what I'm saying? He's going to cut into your flesh a stamp and then print a mark. Then carved, sculpted, graven work. So this needle that he's going to inject into you, you know, that's part of that imprinting or that uh and that imprinting mark that he's going to carve into you. You know what I'm saying? Into your flesh when he inject, this thing right here. This is that mark in your right hand or your forehead as a grain of rice. This is what John the Revelator saw. The Lord showed him in his image. It's like in his vision that the Lord revealed into John the Revelator. This is what he saw. It was grain of rice and planted. This is that. It says RFI, it's like RFID chips used in humans. And this is that mark. This is that physical mark that you're going to take to buy and sell. You know what I'm saying? That's why they transition into a digital wave, uh, digital currency in order for you to buy and sell. So without this, you know, you won't be able to survive in society. And that taking it in your forehead, the mark implanted in your forehead is that brain chip. You know what I'm saying? Has been brought up to the forefront with Elon Musk. Many of our people. That's that. You know, that lying wonder that the devil has the power, to bring forth, through his technology. You know what I'm saying? That he's been blessed with by the Lord, you know. So he's gonna work those miracles, you know what I'm saying? Give your vision back, your hearing back, you know what I'm saying? Your ability to, if you're uh you know paralyzed or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? You can be able to give you your ability back to move your limbs, you know what I'm saying? All through his technology, this this physical chip, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna be his digital ore to, you know, bring you into servitude. You know what I'm saying? That mark, that physical mark that he's gonna etch inside of you to bring you into servitude, make you his slave. And that's his end goal. But it's to his own detriment. And this is the judgment for those that, end up taking this mark, which is a physical mark. Here, this is Revelations 14:9, which reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, and this is again the same mark that we read in Revelation 13. And
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
yeah, that yeah, a badge of servitude, sculptured, featured, graven mark, a stamp and imprinted mark, same thing. So the mark here in Revelations 14:9 is the same as Revelation 13:16. For those that take this mark, you're going to receive the judgment of the Lord. 'Cause these are the same mark. You know what I'm saying? So the mark that we read in um Revelations, it's like Ezekiel 9:4, that's a different mark, the mark of the Y, for those that, going to be exempt from this judgment because they're not going to take this mark of the beast. You know what I'm saying? Those are the hopeful elect. And the mark that we read in Genesis 4, which is the mark of Cain, the oath, that's a mark of appearance. So an identifier to distinguish you from others. You know what I'm saying? That's why, Esau Edom has, pale flesh because he's identified as the murderer. You know what I'm saying? That's the mark of appearance. So you can be identified who he is within the earth, you know? So this is Revelation 14:2, read knowing the saints shall drink. Matter of fact, let's read Revelation 14:9 again. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Lord, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Yeah. So that's your judgment. You know what I'm saying? For you taking his mark. You're going to be cast into the lake of fire, which is, that second death that the Lord's bringing upon the earth in this time of judgment. For you turning your back on the Lord, and taking his mark, which is a sin to take the mark because he commands you not to do so, you're going to be judged because you trust more in Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and his beast image than you did in Yahweh Shema Shai, your power. You know what I'm saying? And for that, for you being a traitor and turning against your power, against your Lord, and not trusting in him, and not trusting in his words, and turning to the men of the Lord that has given you fair warning, for you receiving this is the judgment that you're going to take. You know what I'm saying? You're going to, be burnt to a crisp in the coming of the Lord when he brings judgment. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is, just a lesson to show you that these marks are different and, that the mark of the beast is a physical mark. And it is the RFID microchip that you're going to, you know, many of our people who've been uh, appointed into judgment in the Lord's coming are going to take. You know what I'm saying? Along with many of these heathens, you know. This thing is a physical thing. It is not like a spiritual mark. It has nothing to do with Christianity, who you worship or whatnot. As you know, Bishop Nate and IRC, uh, you know, push forth. You know what I'm saying? And for that, they're going to receive judgment if they refuse to repent. You know, from you know the false doctrine that they're pushing. To the congregation and throughout the earth. You know what I'm saying? That's why things are happening the way they are with their camp. You know what I'm saying? So because these aren't true men of the Lord, and they're getting it just due for their wickedness. But for those that don't take heed and what I'm saying, listen to the true men of the Lord, and you think that this mark isn't a physical thing and it's not the RFID microchip, end up taking it. This is going to be a judgment. You know what I'm saying? But for the hopeful life, just know that this the mark of the beast is a physical mark, and if you take this RFID microchip, this is the judgment that's going to be given unto you. And that's pretty much it. This will say, Kohola Yahweh Shai, Kwam Shala, Abba Shabbat Shalom.